New Deal critics and also the second New Deal kind of going into the end. This will have us caught up all the way to about 1939 when the outbreak of World War II happens. Okay, so we're skipping around here, and this is not all going to go together, but it will make sense in the end. All right. Now, the first video we're going to look at here will be the actual individual critics themselves. There were many, however, these are the big three, and then, of course, some things that are maybe seen. Now, the first thing we have here is you notice that this guy is a father, meaning he is in the Catholic Church. That poses a problem. He cannot run for office against, however, he can urge the people who listen to him and like him to not vote for FDR, and that's what he does. His name is Father Charles Coughlin. Father Charles Coughlin said that FDR was getting too much power, he was being too proactive, and he needed to kind of slow things down. As I said, he can't run for political office because he is a father, and that goes back to the medieval times. But he does have a lot of power through his voice and people listening to him. Okay? The second man, kind of looks like John Goodman, right? John Goodman played him, was governor of Louisiana. His name is Huey Long. Huey Long's nickname was the King Fisher. He was basically known as a king down in Louisiana. He reestablished railroads in Louisiana and Texas. He did a ton of things. Some of them maybe under the table and illegal, but he tried to do things. Now, Huey Long is a big critic of FDR's because he said FDR wasn't doing enough. He wasn't being radical enough. He wasn't being liberal enough. And so he counters this with a plan called Share Our Wealth. And this is in your packet you're going to read. He basically wanted to redistribute wealth. He wanted to take the wealth, and this is a very communist idea at its heart, and every family would be given a certain amount at the beginning of the month. While this is a good plan and possibly could have fixed the Depression, it goes against democratic principles, and so it can't survive in the United States. Now, unfortunately for Huey Long, he will be assassinated shortly before the election of 1936, and so he doesn't have an opportunity to try his plan out. Now, the third critic, as you can tell, is an elderly man. His Dr. Francis Townsend. Dr. Francis Townsend said, what do we do about the old people? FDR is not, he's excluding people. And to be honest, if you go look through those plans, there are people left out during his first term, and that would be the elderly, physically disabled, African Americans. There's a ton of people left out. So Townsend decides to go and jump the gun and focus on retirees and also physically disabled, people who can't get out and work, because if you notice, FDR's name of the game was to get out and work. These people can't. So Dr. Francis Townsend proposes a pension for retired people. He actually won at age 60. And he began promoting this plan, became known as the Townsend Plan, etc. Ultimately, in the end, it will become known as the Social Security Act, and we'll talk about how that came about in the last little bit here. Now, as I said in the New Deal programs, the most controversial program of FDR's was actually WPA number 1, federal number 1, because under this Works Progress Administration program, it provided for money for artists, musical artists. Now, these are musical artists who are mostly deceased. Bono's still alive. But the idea was to help out the entertainment industry so that people could go into a theater or they could find something else and they could distract themselves away from their problems, because we as people tend to be easily distracted. So if you give us something, a movie where we can go and kind of cut off reality for a little while, we tend to be a little bit better off. Now, the next thing we're going to go into is the courts, and also kind of where's the balance of telling people what to do and what not to do. And that was something difficult for FDR to understand and for us to understand.